Good day, dear students. I'm Chmidronov Sergei Nikolaevich, the head of Human Anatomy Department in Samara State Medical University. Today we will talk about upper limb. In details we will talk about vessels and nerves, and also we will talk some words about its topography, about axillary fossa, about its edge and borders, and also we will talk about cubital fossa, about muscles, joints. We will remember some words about muscles, and in details we will talk about its blood supplying and innervation. This picture you may see the lecture plan, and in details we will talk about subclavian artery, about its branch which supplying the muscles of shoulder region, about axillary artery, its parts, and also about brachial artery, radial, ulnar arteries, arterial anastomosis. Next, we will talk about veins, and you may see in this picture superficial veins, deep veins, and venous anastomosis. So, in details, we will talk about these parts. At last, we will talk about nerves, the difficult part of morphology, of anatomy, and in details we'll talk about formation of brachial plexus, somatic nerve plexus, and also about its short and long branches. Let's start. First we can see the axillary regime here. You may see it's here, and also you may see the part of subclavian artery, brachial plexus, its nerves, and next we will see the axillary artery which passes into shoulder with brachial artery. So let's talk some words about the branches of subclavian artery which supplying the region over the shoulder joint, over the scapular region. And you may see several arteries such as arteries suprascapularis, suprascapular artery. You may see the cervical trunk here in number 8 under my pointer, and also you may see suprascapular artery in number 6, which passes to the dorsal space of scapula, and it gives branch for supraspinate and for infraspinous muscles of scapular region. And also you may see and read distant scapular artery from transverse cervical artery from this part, and you may see this artery here, and it also gives supplying for these muscles of scapular region. So these arteries form anastomosis, connections between each of it, and also between the arteries, the branches of axillary artery. But now I want to tell you, and I want to remember the region of axillary fossa and axillary cavity. So if we delete the fatty tissue, branches of axillary artery, also axillary artery and vein, and nerves of brachial plexus from axillary fossa, we show the axillary cavity, muscular fibrous formation laterally of our body, and so we can see the borders of this region. You may see the apertures, upper aperture of axillary cavity and lower aperture. So upper aperture has borders, first rib, clavicle, and also upper edge of scapula. And low aperture of axillary cavity also has borders. The edge of pectoral major muscle, the edge of latissimus dorsi muscle, medially the conditional line connecting the edge of the pectoral major and latissimus dorsi muscles along the line of the third rib. And laterally, you may see that the border is brachial muscle with humerus bone. From below, closes axillary fascia. So, for watching this, for seeing this part of region, we must delete in corpse the axillary fascia, as I told you, with fatty tissue, with vessels and nerves and lymphatic nodes. And now we can see the borders of axillary cavity, and you may see that medial wall is formed by serratus anterior muscle, lateral wall is formed by brachial muscle, biceps brachial muscle. The back wall is formed the latissimus dorsi muscle here, and also teres major and subscapularis muscle. You may see these muscles here, subscapular muscle and teres major muscle. And so the front wall is formed by pectoral major muscle in number 4, pectoralis minor muscle in number 3, and deep leaf of pectoral fascia. And let's talk now about axillary artery. So axillary artery is the passion of subclavian artery in axillary fossa. And you may see this projection on the anterior wall of axillary fossa of this artery. And you may see that this artery has 3 parts, and each part has projection on the region. And you may see 3 triangles in this region. Triangle A, and so in this part of axillary artery passes some branches. Second part, letter B in Russian, and third part, like letter B in English, letter V in Russian language. So you may see the first triangle, and you may see that it forms with 3 borders, 3 edges. First is clavicle, second is sternum or breastbone, and third is superior medial border of pectoral minor muscle. Next triangle is formed by the borders of pectoral minor muscle, and you may see these borders here. And triangle number 3, Russian letter V or English letter B, has also 3 borders. Middle border is the lateral edge of minor pectoral muscle. Lateral border, under my pointer, you may see that this is the lateral border of pectoral major muscle, and also lateral superior part, lateral superior border forced by the groove between these muscles. Muscles, what is the name of this muscle? Deltoid muscle and pectoral major muscle. So this groove is called deltoid pectoral groove because it's situated between these muscles. So you may see 3 triangles, and also you must know that the axillary artery, which passes inside the axillary fossa, has 3 parts. Each of it project into each of these triangles. On the posterior wall of axillary fossa, you may see 2 foramens, triangle-shaped foramens and quadrant-shaped foramen. And letter A and Russian letter B. So you may see these triangles, a shape forming and quadrant shape forming. Let's in details we look at these formings and tell about its edges. So you may see that the border of triangle shape forming, inferior border is formed by teres major muscle, superior border is formed by subscapular muscle and also with teres minor muscle, and lateral border is formed by long caput of triceps muscle. And now you may see the quadrate shape forming, which is situated laterally of triceps muscle, and you may see that it forms with 4 edges. So you may see that inferior border is formed by teres major muscle, medial border is formed by triceps muscle, it's a long caput, and you may see that superior border is formed by subscapular muscle with teres minor muscle in number 2, and also the lateral border is formed by surgical column of humerus and also coracohumeral muscle. And now we can see 3 parts of axillary artery. As I told you, these parts project into these triangles, but artery is situated inside the axillary fossa. And you may see that the branch of first part is arteria thoracica suprema, is supreme thoracic artery, and it gives branch to intercostal muscles between first, second and third ribs. And also you may see that thoracoacromial artery passes from maybe first, maybe second part of axillary artery, and thoracoacromialis artery has several branches. You may see these branches. For deltoid muscle, you may see it here. So it has also thoracic arteries, thoracic branches to lateral side of thoracic cavity. Also it has clavicular branch and acromial branch for clavicle, for acromioclavicular joint, and also for subclavian muscle between first rib and clavicle. So you may see the clavicle, and also you can see this thoracoacromial artery with 4 branches. Now we can see the artery which passes from second part of axillary artery, and you may see lateral thoracic artery, arteria thoracica lateralis, which passes on the lateral wall of thoracic cavity, thoracic wall, and it gives branch for serrate anterior muscle, and also it form connections between the arteries from third part of axillary artery. So you may see the subscapular artery, which passes from the third part of axillary artery, and also you may see the branch of subscapular artery. So you may see two main branches here, and one of each arteria circumflexa scapulae, circumflex scapular artery, passes to the posterior side of scapula over triangle-shaped foramen, and it forms the arterial plexus at the posterior side of scapula, inside the muscles, infraspinatus muscles, teres major, teres minor muscle, and also the supraspinous muscles. So it forms the connections with the branch of suprascapular arteries of thyroid cervical trunk from subclavian artery. So this artery, you may see, forms the anastomosis at posterior surface of scapula and give branches for these muscles. And now you may see that two arteries passes from third part of axillary artery. You may see anterior and posterior circumflex arteries, and also you must know that posterior circumflex humerary artery passes through the quadrant shape quadrangular foramen to the posterior side of axillary region, and it forms the arterial plexus over the surgical neck, and also it gives branch for shoulder joint and the muscles which cover this joint. For example, deltoid muscle, and also it forms the anastomosis. You may see this anastomosis here between deltoid branch of thoracoacromial artery and also with deltoid branch of profound brachial artery and circumflexus arteries, anterior and posterior. And now we can see the anastomosis between arteries. In details, we may read this anastomosis. As I told you, the posterior side of scapula, and we can see the scapula with its muscles from posterior view, and you may see the formation of this anastomosis. In surgical practice, they call it arterial collateral scapular circle. But we can see that this is not original circle. This is a network between arteries at the posterior surface of scapula. So what we can see? We can see profound artery, profound ramus of transverse coronary artery here. Under my pointer, you may see the suprascapular artery, and also you may see that it gives muscular branch for supraspinous muscle, for infraspinous muscle, for teres minor muscle, and also teres major muscle and subscapular artery. And you may see these arteries at posterior side of scapula and the places of its connections between each of them at the posterior side. And also you may see the subscapular artery and its branch, circumflex scapular artery from arteria subscapularis, and also you may see that it passes through triangle-shaped foramen at the posterior side of scapula. And now you may see all these anastomosis between all these three main arteries. Also, on this picture you may see the quadrangular shape foramen And also you may see the posterior circumflex humerus artery, which gives branch for shoulder joint, for acromion, for clavicle. It forms also the anastomosis with the deltoid branch of thoracoacromial artery, and also it gives branch for humerus bone. Now you can see that it also gives branch for muscles of free upper limb, such as triceps muscle, and you may see the caput of triceps muscle here. But now we can see that these anastomosis has practical part in surgery, for example, and you may see if the artery has atherosclerosis diseases and block supplying here in this pink color place. You may see that blood supplying of upper limb does not stop because the anastomosis work and blood supplying through these pathologic processes in anastomosis to free upper limb. It takes very important practical mean in surgical practice. So now we can see other anastomosis in this region, acromial-deltoid network, and you may see that it forms via acromialis artery, deltoid artery, circumflexus artery, anterior and posterior, and also with deltoideus ramus. You may see it here from a profound brachial artery. So this branch also forms the anastomosis connections, and so it take part in surgical practice. Next, you may see that axillary artery passes into a brachial regime, and it passes in brachial artery. So the border between axillary artery and brachial artery is the low edge of axillary fossa, the lateral edge of greater pectoral muscle. And you, for example, you may see this border here in underline number 4, and you may see that below of this line the brachial artery starts from axillary artery. So the brachial artery is the passing of axillary artery into brachial region. And now you may see details of the brachial artery here. You may see it here. This is the border between axillary artery and brachial artery. Here you may see that it passes on the medial region of brachium. It passes inside the fascial sheath between fascial leaves, and it passes with the brachial vein, with the ulnar and medial nerves, and also with the cutaneous antebrachial nerve. And also you may see these nerves here, and also you may see this artery. Let's in details we talk about the branch of brachial artery. And first you may see that at the border between upper third and middle third, the profound brachial artery passes from brachial artery. It passes to the posterior side of humerus bone. It passes inside the humeromuscular canal, and it gives branch for muscles, for triceps muscles. It also gives branch, deltoid branch for formation, deltoid acromial network to supplying the blood supplying the deltoid muscle, the shoulder joint and other muscles here, such are pectoral muscles and the terminal parts of insertion parts of infraspinatus, supraspinatus muscles and also subscapular muscles and teres major and minor muscles. And also you may see that this artery passes on the lateral side of humerus bone, and it gives branch for cubital joint. You may see these two main arteries here. They named collateral lateral cubital artery and collateral medial cubital artery. To formation the cubital network, arterial network. So you may see that arteria collateralis medialis in Latin and arteria collateralis radialis in Latin, two main branches of profund brachii artery. But in details you may see that medial collateral artery for cubital network passes at the posterior side of humerus bone, but collateral radial artery passes over the lateral surface. Next you may see that superior and inferior ulnar collateralized arteries passes from brachial artery. You may read the names of this artery. Superior ulnar collateralized artery passes from middle third of brachial artery, and inferior from inferior third of brachial artery. And also you may see that superior collateral ulnar artery passes at the posterior surface of epicondyle of humerus bone, and inferior ulnar collateral artery passes at anterior side of epicondyle of humerus bone. And all these arteries, arteria collateralis ulnaris inferior, arteria collateralis ulnaris superior, arteria collateralis radialis, arteria collateralis medialis, all these four arteries take part in formation of cubital arterial network. And now you may see that brachial artery divides in two main arteries at the border between the arm and forearm at the level of cubital joint, and you may see these main branches, radial and ulnar arteries. Let's look in details on these arteries here, on this picture and also this picture. You may see the terminal part of brachial artery and the place of division in two main arteries, radial artery and ulnar artery here. And you may see that this is the place of division, cubital fossa, and also you may see it here. So the cubital fossa also has borders. You may see that the lateral border is the groove between biceps muscle and brachioradial muscle, sulcus brachioradialis. Also the medial bicipital groove between biceps muscle and teres pronator muscle, and also the superior border is the brachial muscle. So brachial muscle inserts to ulnar bone, ulna, tuberositas ulnaris. And now we can see the branches of ulnar artery and radial artery. Also we can see the grooves in antebrachium or forearm between muscles. So, for example, you may see the groove between brachioradial muscle and between the carporadial muscle in letter A. So this groove is very important for understanding the place of pulsation and place of indicate the pulse of human. So we can investigate the pulsation of radial artery in our hands in this groove between these muscles, brachioradial muscle and carporadial muscle. And now we must look at cubital joint or elbow joint. And so we talked about anastomosis over this joint. And you may see that 8 main arteries, collateral arteries from brachial system and recurrence arteries from ulnar and radial system form anastomosis, form arterial network over the cubital joint, over the elbow joint. So let's look the places of connection between these arteries. So you may see that at the posterior side of humerus bone, as I told you, you may see arteria collaterales media, which passes from arteria profunda brachii, and it forms the anastomosis with arteria interossea recurrens. What is artery interossea recurrens? You may see that ulnar artery has branch which called interossea communis artery under my pointer, and you may see that interosseus communis artery divides in 2 main branches, arteria interossea recurrens et arteria interossea anterior et posterior. So you may see that arteria interossea recurrens passes at the posterior side of elbow joint and form a connection between it and arteria collateralis radialis at the posterior side of elbow joint. Next, you may read about collateral ulnar superior artery and its anastomosis with arteria recurrens ulnaris ramus posterior. And you may see that ulnar artery on this picture gives branch which called arteria recurrens ulnaris. Arteria recurrens ulnaris. Recurrence is like return in Latin. So you may see that recurrence artery divides into main arteries, anterior recurrens ramus and posterior recurrens ramus. And now you may see that anterior recurrens ramus at the anterior surface of elbow joint form the connection with collateral ulnar inferior artery from brachial artery, but posterior ramus form the anastomosis behind the epicondyle of humerus bone with the superior ulnar artery. And you may see this anastomosis here. And at last you may see that 4th anastomosis forms between collateral radial artery from profund brachium artery, and you may see this anastomosis here, collateral radialis. And you may see that it passes at the lateral surface of humerus bone, and next it passes on the anterior part of elbow joint and forms the connection anastomosis with a recurrence radial artery from a radial artery. Arteria recurrens radialis in Latin. This is the branch of a radial artery. And in details, we can see the initial parts of radial and ulnar artery, and also we can see that ulnar artery has more diameter and more sizes than radial artery. And also we can see the interossa communis artery with interossa recurrens artery and interossa anterior and posterior arteries with passes over the membrane between radium and ulnar bones. And you may see that interossa anterior artery passes at anterior side of this membrane, but posterior artery passes behind the posterior part of posterior surface of this membrane between these bones. And now on this picture we can see the distal part of arteries. We must say that radial artery, ulnar artery, interosseous anterior and posterior arteries give branches for muscles of forearm. Also they give branch for bones of forearm, for ulna, for radius, and also they passes into distal part of forearm to wrist. And now you can see that they form the wrist arterial network, and you may see that ulnar artery gives branch for a wrist network. You may see that this branch is called ramus carpalis palmaris from arteria ulnaris and ramus carpalis palmaris from radial artery. To these carpal-palmar branches take part information of wrist arterial network, and also anterior interossa artery forms the connection with this network, palmar network. And now we can see that dorsal artery from ulnar and from radial artery, and you may see the passing of this artery to posterior side of wrist joint, and here you may see the formation of wrist dorsal network, dorsal arterial network, with the dorsal carpal arteries from radial artery, from ulnar artery. You may see this artery, the initial parts here at this picture, and they passes to posterior side of wrist joint. And also you may see that anterior and posterior interossa arteries, and you may see so the branch of anterior interossa artery and posterior interossa artery take parts information of dorsal or posterior or back arterial wrist network to blood supplying the wrist region, its muscles, and also joints. Not only a wrist joint, also the joints between carpal bones and carpal metacarpal joints too. And now you may see the terminal parts of ulnar artery and radial artery. And let's look first in details at ulnar artery. It passes on the hand, and you may see that it passes from medial side to lateral side, and it forms the arch. It's called superficial arterial arch of hand. You may see that the branch from radial artery, which called ramus palmaris superficialis, superficial palmar branch, it forms the connection between it form connection with the ulnar artery, and so ulnar artery with the superficial palmar branch of radial artery forms the arch, arterial arch in the hand, and it's named the superficial arterial arch. But if we look at the radial artery, first I want to tell you at the distal place of radial bone we can touch the pulsation of this artery. This is very important in clinical practice. And also you must know that it passes at the lateral side of wrist, and next it passes to posterior side behind the first metacarpal bone, its basic part, and it passes over this basic part of first metacarpal bone and return to the palmar surface of hand. And you may see that it passes to the medial side, from lateral to medial side, to direction of the basic part of fifth metacarpal bone. And here you may see that it forms anastomosis with the profound or deep in Latin. Profundus is deep in English. Profound ramus, profound branch of ulnar artery. So we may see that a radial artery with profound branch or deep branch of ulnar artery for the deep arterial arch in hand. So two of these arteries form two arterial arches in hand. I repeat that ulnar artery forms the superficial arterial arch, but radial artery forms the deep arterial arch. And now you may see that these arches give branches for hand muscles, bones and skin. What the branches? We can see that communis digital arteries passes from superficial arterial arch. You may see that three communis digital arteries passes, and also principal minimal artery to the medial surface of digitus minimus. And now you may see that all of three communis arteries each of it divides into proprial digital artery, which passes at the lateral sides of each of finger. And from radial artery passes arteria princeps pollicis, the principal artery of thumb, arteria princeps pollicis. Pollex is thumb in Latin. And you may see that this artery gives three branches. Two of each passes to palmar side of pollex, of thumb, and one of it passes to the lateral side of index finger, of second finger. So now you can see that all these arteries forms the anastomosis over the joints between metacarpal bones and also between metacarpal and phalangeal bones, and between phalangeal bones too. So at the posterior side of hand you may see, as I told you, the arterial network which called dorsal carpal network, arterial network. And so you may see that the arteries to the posterior side of hand passes from this network. You may see that dorsal metacarpal arteries passes two fingers, and it divides to two. Each of it divides to two proprial digital arteries. Each of it passes to the lateral sides of each finger. So you must remember that, also you may see it here, you must remember that 4 arteries, 2 palmar arteries and 2 dorsal arteries, 4 arteries per 1 finger or thumb passes inside them to supplying the joints and muscles and also skin on them. Next, let's talk about drainage, blood drainage, and also we will talk about veins. So the vein is the vessel which drain the blood from organ, from muscles, from skin, from bones, and the veins of upper limb divides in some groups. So you may see first group, which called superficial veins. Superficial veins, they are situated under the skin, and also they called subcutaneous veins. So you may see the plexus, venous plexus or aorta. So you may see that there are different veins here. They have variations in morphological cases, and now let's talk about constant veins. Constant veins. So you may see the formation of lateral vein, which called cephalic vein, and you may see that it forms from dorsal metacarpal veins, from second, first, maybe third metacarpal dorsal veins, and it passes at the lateral side of forearm. Next it passes to anterior surface of forearm, and next it passes the lateral part of arm. Also you may see that from medial veins, from fifth and fourth metacarpal veins, form the medial upper limb vein, which called basilic vein. It starts from dorsal surface, from middle part of hand, and it passes at the middle surface of forearm. Next it passes over middle surface to anterior surface of forearm and goes to arm. You may see this vein here, and also you may see the formation of intermedial antebrachial vein. Antebrachium is forearm in Latin, and you may see vena mediana antebrachii, which forms from veins of anterior surface of wrist region. And also you may see a lot of different veins, unconstant veins, which forms the anastomosis between each of it, and for the plexus, venous plexus. And now you may see this plexus at the anterior side of forearm, at posterior side of forearm, and also you may see that vena mediana antebrachii passes into the region of cubital fossa, and it forms the anastomosis between basilic vein and also between cephalic vein. And you may see this anastomosis here, And also you must know that this anastomosis take main part in clinical practice to take blood for biochemical analysis, and also to inject the drugs here. And now you may see this second group, not only superficial veins as I told you, but second group of veins you may see here, which penetrates the fascias, and you may see perforant veins here, which connect the superficial veins. We can look these veins here with deep veins, but we will talk about deep veins some later. Now at this picture you may see the lateral vein and medial upper limb veins. As I told you, cephalic vein is lateral, basilic is medial, and we can see that lateral cephalic vein passes inside the lateral bicipital groove under skin, and next it perforates the fascia inside the deltoid pectoral sulcus or groove, and next it passes under this fascia, and at last it passes into axillary vein. And here you may see that basilic vein penetrate the brachial fascia at the middle third of medial surface of arm, and next at this middle third it passes inside the fascia and pass into brachial vein. And here also you can see the vena intermedia cubital, the main anastomosis between cephalic and basilic vein to inject the drugs in clinical practice, and also to take blood for biochemical analysis. And also you may see the formation of venous plexus between these veins. As I told you, there are three main groups of veins. We talked about superficial veins. Also, we talked some words about perforant veins between deep and superficial veins. And now let's talk about deep veins. So, deep veins have the same names like arteries, and also they accompanies these arteries. This is first. And second condition, that these veins duplicate in quantity these accompanying arteries. That's why first they called satellites, because they accompanied arteries, and at second part you must know that on each one artery there are two so named veins. For example, you may see at this picture that this is one ulnar artery, and you may see two ulnar veins over this ulnar artery. And here you may see one radial artery, and you may see also two radial veins over radial arteries. Here you also can see two of these satellites veins, radial, so named radial veins, such is radial artery here. And now you may see two veins arches over the arterial superficial arch. So this is the main rule for deep veins in limbs. First is accompanition of arteries, and duplication in quantity, but not for all. You may see that, for example, deep or profound brachial artery has also two accompanying veins, but brachial artery in distal parts has two accompanying veins, brachial veins, but in proximal part two brachial veins confluence in one brachial vein which accompanying brachial artery in proximal parts. And also for one axillary artery there is only one axillary vein, and also for one subclavian artery one subclavian vein. So they are not duplicating quantity in proximal parts, since proximal third of brachial. So you must know that these veins accompanying the arteries, and also all the veins of limb, the superficial veins and deep veins, and also perforant veins which penetrate the fascias and connect the superficial veins with the deep veins. All these veins have valves. The venous valves regulate the direction of blood supply, and you must know that the drainage function of veins stimulate the direction of blood supply from organ to heart. And we talk about nerve system, about plexus brachialis, And first you must know that plexus brachialis is one of somatic nerve plexuses, and it also forms with the anterior branch of spinal nerves. And brachial plexus is formed via cervical fifth to thoracic first spinal anterior branch of spinal nerves, and it forms at the region which called spacium or space is in English. Spacium is correct word for this region. Spacium scalena vertebrale. Spacium scalena vertebrale. And now we can see that plexuses form in this space. You may see the branches of this plexus. You may see the truncus of this plexus. You may see that this plexus form the trunks: superior trunk, medius trunk, and inferior trunk. And the connection between these trunks over the artery, which is absent here in this picture, form the divisions. Three anterior divisions and three posterior divisions. You may see them here over the axillary artery, and next these divisions, anterior and posterior, form the fasciculi. And you may see that anterior divisions form the lateral fasciculus, medial fasciculus, and also the branch from superior, inferior, and medius division and trunks form the posterior fasciculus. So these fasciculi are named because they so situated over the axillary artery. Lateral fasciculus is situated laterally from this artery. Posterior is posteriorly or the backside of axillary artery, and medial fascicular is situated at the medial surface of axillary artery. And what we must know about this plexus? This plexus gives branches for muscles, for skin, for joints, and so there are two groups of branches. First group is short branches, second group is long branches. So we look at short branches of brachial plexus. So you may see that some branches pass to phorenicus nerve from cervical plexus. Also, you may see the branch to scapular muscle. So you may see nervus dorsalis scapulae, dorsal scapular nerve, which innervate the rhomboid muscles and also the levator scapulae muscle. Next, you may see that some branch pass to scalene muscles. And also you may see that short branch passes to subclavian muscle. This is subclavius nerve. Suprascapular muscle. Passes through the notch in scapula bone, and it passes into supraspinosus and infraspinosus fossas to innervate the supraspinous and infraspinous muscles, and also the capsule of a shoulder joint. Next, you may see the thoracic longus nerve. Innervate the serratus anterior muscle at the lateral wall of thorax, of thoracic cavity. And also we can see the pectoral nerves, pectoral medial and lateral nerves, which innervate the pectoral muscle, major and minor pectoral muscles. And also you may see the short branches to latissimus dorsi muscle, to teres major muscle and subscapular muscle. We can see subscapular nerves here, and also you can see this inferior part of subscapular nerve from posterior fasciculae, and we can see that these nerves passes from this fasciculus to subscapular muscle, and also to major teres muscle. And now we can see the nervus which called thoraco-dorsalis nerve, thoracodorsal nerve, nervus thoraco-dorsalis, which innervates the most most plain laterals muscle from spine is musculus latissimus dorsi. So this nerve innervates this wide muscle. Next, let's look at let's look at subclavian region of this plexus. And so you can see that subclavian region, because we delete the clavicle from this picture, and you may see that one short branch passes from subclavian region of plexus, from posterior fasciculus. It's called axillary nerve. Axillary nerve. Axillary nerve passes to posterior surface of axillary wall. It passes through quadrangle foramen with the circumflex humeri-posterior artery and vein, and also it innervates the minor teres muscle. It innervates deltoid muscle, and it also gives branch for capsule of shoulder joint, and also for skin over the deltoid muscle. This nerve is called superior lateral cutaneous nerve, and it innervates the skin over the deltoid region and superior part of arm. And now we can see the long branches of plexus which pass to upper limb, to free part of upper limb. Let's in details we look again at short branches. You may see dorsoscapular nerve, which, as I told you, innervates the levator scapular muscles, rhomboid muscle, minor and major rhomboid muscles. Also we can see suprascapularis nerve, which passes over the notch of scapula, and it gives branch for supraspinous muscle, for infraspinous muscle. And here we can see the axillary nerve, which gives branch for minor teres muscle, for deltoid muscle, and also for skin over deltoid muscle. And here you may see the subscapularis nerve, which gives branch for teres major muscle, subscapular muscle. And here we can see pectoralis muscle, pectoralis nerve for pectoralis muscle, medial and lateral, and also thoracic longus nerve for innervation of anterior serratus muscle. And also we can see the nerve between the second intercostal nerve and medial branch of medial fasciculus. This is brachial cutaneous nerve, and you may see the connection between these nerves, which named nervus intercosto-brachialis, and it gives branch, cutaneous branch, for skin of axillary fossa. And you may see these branches here. And now let's in details, we talked about long branches, and you may see these branches, some of them you may see here. So what we can see, we may see the nervus intercosto-brachialis, as I told you, the place of connection between medial cutaneous brachial nerve and intercostal nerves, first and second, maybe only second, to innervate the axillary fossa skin. And also you may see that from medial fasciculus of plexus brachialis passes the medial brachial nerve, cutaneous nerve, for innervation the skin at the medial surface of arm. Also you may see that from medial fasciculus passes the ulnar nerve, you may see it here, to forearm, and also the cutaneous antebrachial nerve, you may see the initial parts of it here, and also you may see that from medial and lateral fasciculus, you may see to these radix of roots of this nerve starts the median nerve, and you may see the nervus medianus here, which passes to forearm, and so the ulnar nerve, the medianus nerve, the antebrachiocutaneous medialis nerve give no branches at the arm region. They give branches only at forearm region. But you must see one of nerves, which called muscle-cutaneous nerve, nervus musculo-cutaneus, which gives branch for biceps muscle, for brachial muscle and coracobrachial muscles, and also it gives branch for skin at the lateral and anterior surface of forearm. So in details we can look at this muscle-cutaneous nerve here, and you may see that it passes from lateral fasciculus of brachial plexus, from a subclavian region here, you may see clavicle here, and also we can see the muscular branch and the muscles which innervates under this nerve, and so you may see the cutaneous branch for antebrachium. This called nervus cutaneus antebrachiolaterales, and also you may see the region of innervation of forearm skin of this nerve. Now let's look at this picture, and you may see the medianus nerve. I told you that it forms from lateral and medial radix, from lateral and medial fasciculus of brachial plexus. As I told you, this nerve gives no branch at brachium region, and it gives branch for antebrachial muscles. From this nerve passes the branch for pronator teres muscle, from carporadial flexor muscle, from palmaris longus muscle, digital flexoris muscles, half of profund digital flexor muscle, and full of superficial muscle, and also for quadratus pronator muscle too. So median nerve passes with the tendinous parts of flexoris muscles, also with the pollex flexoris muscle, and also gives branch to this muscle for thumb muscles. And next it passes to hand and gives branch, gives nerves for tenor muscles, and you may read these tenor muscles: musculus abductor pollicis brevis, musculus apponens pollicis, musculus flexor pollicis brevis caput superficialis, superficial caput, but the deep caput or profound caput innervates via ulnar nerve. At last you may see the skin innervation of medianus nerve. You may see that more than lateral half of palmar surface of skin takes innervation from the cutaneous branch of medianus nerve, and you may see the cutaneous branch of medianus nerve, common digital arteries and proprial digital arteries. Next, let's look at this picture. In details we can look at the innervation of medianus nerve here too, for muscle innervation and also for skin innervation, and also we can talk that the cutaneous, proprial, digital nerves innervate also the dorsal surface of fingers and also of tongue. Next, we talk about ulnar nerve. As I told you, the ulnar nerve passes with the brachial artery in medial groove of brachium in the sheath of brachial fascia, and it gives no branches at arm region. It passes at the posterior side of epicondyle of humerus bone, and after it gives branch for two muscles of forearm. You may see two of these muscles here. This one is flexor carpi ulnaris muscle, and also the medial part, only medial half of deep flexor of fingers. So musculus flexor digitorum profundus. It's in Latin. So this nerve passes into hand via canal, ulnar canal, with the ulnar artery and vein, but we cannot see them here. And it passes to hand. It gives branch for muscles of tenor, for musculus palmaris brevis, musculus abductor digiti minimi, musculus flexor digiti minimi brevis, and musculus apponens digiti minimi. You may read these names here on this picture. Also, it gives branch for interbony muscles, musculi interosseus palmaris et dorsalis, and also it gives branch for lumbricate, two medial lumbricate muscles here, but two lateral lumbricate muscles take innervation from medianus nerve. And last, you may see that ulnar nerve gives branch for adductor pollicis muscle, for adducts the thumb to hand, and also for deep caput of musculus flexor pollicis brevis, for profundus part or deep part of this muscle. And also it gives the branch for skin. You may see that it gives branch for palmar surface, 1.5 digits of palmar surface, and also for distal surface. Maybe like this picture from 1.5 fingers, maybe for 2.5 fingers region of dorsal surface of skin of this part. At last, we look at the radial nerve. A radial nerve is one of long branches of plexus brachialis, and you may see that this nerve passes from posterior fasciculus of brachial plexus. It gives muscular branches for muscles of posterior part of arm, for triceps muscle, and also it gives branch for posterior, you may see it here, posterior surface of skin of arm. And next, you may see that this nerve passes inside the humeromuscular channel between the humerus bone, its spiral groove, and lateral caput of triceps muscle. Also, you can see that this nerve passes inside this canal with a deep or profound brachium artery and veins. And you may see that this nerve gives branch for the triceps muscle, also for anconeus muscles, and before entering to this canal, it gives the branch to the posterior side of antebrachium. This is branch for antebrachium skin for posterior surface, and it's called nervus cutaneus antebrachii posterior. Nervus cutaneus antebrachii posterior. This nerve innervates the skin at the posterior side of forearm. And now we can see the dorsal surface and dorsal muscles of this part. Also you may see the muscular nerves, muscular branches of radial nerves. So all the muscles of posterior group of forearm and also brachioradial muscle innervate with branches of radial nerve. And now we can see the superficial ramus of radial nerve, which innervates the dorsal surface, dorsal skin of hand. It forms the communis digital nerves and also proprial digital nerves for innervate the fingers skin and also the dorsal surface of thumb skin. And at this picture you may see the skin innervation of radial nerve. You may see posterior cutaneous, posterior and lateralis cutaneous nerve of brachium or arm, and also you may see cutaneous antebrachial posterior nerve for innervation the dorsal part of skin of forearm, and also you may see the place of innervation of dorsal surface of skin of hand. In details you may see these innervation. Here you may see the innervation of medianus nerve at palmar surface, ulnar nerve in palmar surface, also ulnar nerve in dorsal surface, and in velar color the dorsal skin innervation of radial nerve. So the lecture is finished. Thank you for attention. Good luck. See you again.